on, YouTube? We're back with the 67 Chevy, and as promised, which took a while, but we got the truck back in the shop here, and we are going to give it a metering. Now keep in mind, this is a digital design shallow mount driver, so any shallow mount drivers you really can't expect a ton out of. So we're not going to see like breathtaking, jaw-dropping numbers. I believe we are going to get a decent metering off of this today. For what it is, it's a single shallow mount tin on a 1200 watt sound cubed. It is the digital design shallow mount. I will flash a picture. And anyways, so let's see what it does. This build was very tricky. We had very limited enclosure space. I mean, the enclosure could only be like this wide. We had to fit a Northstar SMS AGM80 in there. We also had to fit the two sound cube amps, the 1200.1 and the 90.4. So anyways, what we're gonna do is go through a sweep and let's try to see what we're peaking at. And then from there, we will burp our peak frequency. We're doing all this with the vehicle off so that you can hear me. Very, very loud hot rod truck that we got going on here. So let's get a sweep pulled up and see what it looks like we're peaking at. Keep your eye on the meter here. Okay, so it looks like we're gonna peak in the 34, 35 hertz area. It's been a little bit since I designed this enclosure, so I believe it's tuned at about 35, if I recall correctly. The challenge of this enclosure, like I said, was that we're working with such a tight space right behind the seat here. In fact, a gas tank used to be behind the seat, which has now been relocated into the bed. But so anyways, super tight on airspace. I think we got like, what do we get, like maybe 0.75 cubes. The overall enclosure dimensions here are 14 inches tall, 5.5 inches deep, and 36 inches long. This gave us an internal volume of 0.99 cubic feet before all displacements. Then we have woofer displacement and then your two ports. And then I had to do two ports because one port, due to the port velocity, was taking up too much area internally on the enclosure. So this was one of the more difficult enclosures to design, and it's so simple, but it was so difficult due to our space limitations. So we kind of had to you know, come together on some things to be sure we were going to get some sort of a decent performance out of it, which I believe we are. So what we'll go ahead and do now, let's burp 34 hertz and let's see what kind of number we get. Now keep in mind, this is vehicle off. We do have a high output alternator on here, so we probably would expect to see another 3 or 4 tenths of a dB with the vehicle started, which I can test that later. Let's see what we get on 34 hertz. So we got a 130.9 at 34 hertz. You wouldn't believe how much wind comes up from the back the way that these ports are angled. It's crazy. It's windy in here. And it's not like extremely loud, but it's doing well. So let's do a 35 hertz bass tone now. Got to beat a 130.9. one. So anyways, not bad for a single shallow mount 10. Again, there's no space in here. This is of course not ideal situations for a subwoofer to be in, but considering all variables here, this is a lot louder than we thought it would ever be, because shallow mounts are so restrictive. You know, their peak-to-peak excursion is limited drastically. On this particular Digital Designs shallow mount, it does have a neodymium motor mounted on the front of the subwoofer, and it does have some pretty good travel. If I remember correctly, the mounting depth on it was like 3.5 or 3.75, which is pretty much exactly how deep the box ended up being. Like the back of the sub is almost resting against the back wall of the enclosure. So anyways, guys, we'll play some music here real quick and see how that does.
Turn me up some more, turn me up like this.
Okay, so on that particular track, we managed to pull a 129.7 at 36 hertz. It may not have been the ideal song for the absolute best score on the dash, but I figured we would try one just to show you about where it's at. But I mean, 130 out of something so tiny is pretty impressive, and it sounds fantastic too. The enclosure is very musical. You can play anything in here. In fact, Travis, the owner of this truck, he plays rock music and stuff like that. So he wants stuff that's going to have that nice punch and kick and all that. So it's by no means a straight up SPL setup. Just the overall sound quality of it sounds excellent, and I would be more than happy to be listening to this every day, because it does sound very well balanced and excellent. But anyways, guys, we appreciate you tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring that bell, and visit gpcaraudio.com for your elite electrical needs.